The history of the Arab slave trade is a complex and often overlooked aspect of human history that spans many centuries and regions. While discussions about slavery, we often focus on the transatlantic slave trade. The Arab slave trade, however, had equally significant implications for societies across the Middle East, Africa, and beyond. We will discuss on the origins, dynamics, consequences, and legacies of the Arab slave trade, offering a comprehensive understanding of its historical significance. The Arab slave trade's roots extend deep into antiquity, with evidence of slave trade buried deep in the pre-Islamic era. However, during the expansion of the Islamic Empire, beginning in the 7th century, the slave trade gained momentum. The demand for labor and other old traditions aspect shaped the contours of the trade. Slavery was not limited to a specific region. It spanned across the Arabian Peninsula, North Africa, the Indian Ocean coast, and even into Europe. Unlike the transatlantic slave trade, which saw the mass transportation of African slaves to the Americas, the Arab slave trade had a diverse range of destinations and sources. Slaves were acquired through a variety of means, including warfare, raids, and trade. Some even white slave brought from all over Europe, especially coastal region of Mediterranean. African slaves, often captured during conflicts between different African states, were a significant demographic in the trade. The trade routes were varied, with overland routes across the Sahara Desert, Mediterranean Sea, and across the Indian Ocean. The Arab slave trade had profound economic, social, and cultural impacts on the societies involved. Slaves were integral to various sectors of the economy, including agriculture, mining, trade, and domestic service. In some regions, the status of being a slave was not fixed, and slaves could attain social mobility and even positions of power. This has happened, for example, Mamluks, one of the greatest dynasty in Egypt, began with slave soldier with stepped origin. This dynamic created a complex socio-economic landscape, where slaves could be found in positions of influence within courts, households, and armies. The slave trade influence on cultural exchange was significant. Various slaves brought their languages, religions, traditions, and skills to new regions, contributing to the diversification of cultures. This cross-cultural exchange resulted in a blending of traditions, arts, and practices that still resonate in modern societies. The legacies of the Arab slave trade continue to influence societies today. While the transatlantic slave trade is more widely acknowledged, the Arab slave trade has often been understudied and under-discussed. This lack of recognition has contributed to historical amnesia and limited understanding of the lasting impact of the trade on societies in the Middle East and Africa. The legacy of the Arab slave trade is complex, shaping cultural identities, racial perceptions, and social structures in the regions where it occurred. The trade has also influenced present-day debates about reparations, historical injustices, and the responsibility to address the enduring consequences of slavery.